Hello and welcome back to In Bed with a Nerd. Following on from my last report, which was talking a little bit about big data, I'm going to be talking about another aspect of big data that I find interesting, and that is the ability to collect and store pretty much anything that we want to cheaply and then be able to process that information for next to no cost at all. Now, one of the interesting things that I found out is there's a big push by electricity companies to install what are called smart meters on houses. Now, these smart meters are essentially digital usage meters that they put into these boxes, and then it transmits usage data to power companies. Now, power companies can store and use that data so they're able to project how much power they need at peak times during specific times of the year, etc., etc. So from like a power generation aspect, it's very interesting. But one of the, I suppose, not quite yet exploited treasure troves of information is that within that smart meter, they're able to look at the specific power usage of individual appliances within your house through the fact that every appliance in your house has what's called an energy signature. Now, my computer, the light that's on next to me, the television, the router that I've got going, etc., etc., all have very specific energy signatures. Now, an energy signature is a little bit like a thumbprint. It's individual to each specific device, and as for every household that actually has a smart meter, a company that had the data accumulated for energy signatures would actually be able to look at what specific appliances people are using at what time of the day. Now, when you start to look at the ability of a company to be able to look or accumulate that data and start to research people's usage habits down to the individual household, it's a very powerful tool, but obviously it's one that leads to a lot of questions for anonymity and privacy, because obviously there are some people out there that don't want companies to know exactly what they're doing, what they're using, and when they're doing it. Let's say if we're going to give the companies the benefit of the doubt, and they're not going to sell the data to anyone who's going to use it for nefarious means. I suppose it's essentially an advertiser or marketer's dream. Now, if you think about, segmented marketing, that is, you've got marketing that you want to find a segment of the population so you can then tailor your marketing efforts towards a specific consumer of various products. You could, with big data, because you're collecting huge amounts of data from a very large population. So say if we look at California, and you might want to look at the wealthy demographic of Orange County for women between the age of 30 and 50, and you want to find out what time they're home and what time they're watching TV or using their computer. So then maybe through Google or YouTube or MTV, you can put a little advertising campaign on there. With big data, you can collect all of the usage data for people that have smart meters on their homes. Look at the time that they get home based on the fact that, say, people turn lights on, they might open the fridge, they might make themselves a cup of coffee, so the kettle's boiling, so they've got an energy usage spike, and then the hot water system gets a spike because between the time of 6 and 7, you've got, say, 50% of households going and having showers after work, etc., etc., and then they find at the time between 7 and 9 p.m, you've got 70% of people either sitting in front of a TV or sitting on a computer consuming various forms of media. Now, as an advertiser or marketing company, if I had access to that data, well then I'd be able to create very specific, very tailored marketing programs for whatever client I was trying to represent. And obviously, you would assume that that would increase sales among whatever demographic you wanted to target. Now, when it comes to smart meters and big data, it's obviously something a lot of people haven't really thought about because we haven't understood the implications of this. And over the past 5 to 10 years, the storage of data and the processing of data has dropped in price by a huge, huge amount, by orders of magnitude. So it's a lot cheaper to store and process data now than it ever has been. And these are some of the new markets and industries that marketers and data analysts and researchers are going to be using to market to you. Obviously, it's not only marketers that would be interested in that information. If you've got, say, the NSA or ASIS in Australia who might be interested in sort of watching your movements, they'd be able to use your smart meter information to see when you're at home and what appliances you might be using, etc., etc., and be able to actually collate information that way too. So yeah, it can be used for both purposes. It can be very, very useful for encouraging electricity use during non-peak times of the day, but then at the same time too, it can be used for nefarious purposes to collect information about you that you may not want to be shared. Anyways, that's enough of a rant about the idea of smart meters and how big data can actually be used to find out your usage habits, but I hope you found this little presentation interesting, and if you have, please like the video and subscribe and share, and I hope you are all well. Thanks again for watching. Bye!